The book of Ecclesiasticus, the wisdom sayings, is telling us something very, very meaningful when he says, the chapter, "My son, be gentle in carrying out your business. You will be better loved than lavish givers." My son, be gentle in carrying out your business. You will be better loved than a lavish giver. The first exhortation or advice, inviting to the person to be meek, to be gentle, to be kind, to be understanding. These are qualities that we all appreciate in everyone. When we have to deal with the people of this sort, we certainly feel enriched. We feel happy. Let it be a business. Let it be some work to be done together. Whatever it is, the moment we experience or we realize this person is gentlemanly, meek, and gentle, we are enriched. And they say you will be appreciated and thanked much more, in fact, more than people who simply lavishly give free gifts. It is not always free gifts that we need. It is that gentleness, goodness, behavior pattern that will endear us to others. I wish we all try to get this one into our life though, so that our life will look much more simple, much more beautiful. And then he says again later, there is no cure for a proud man's malady. There is no cure for a proud man's malady because an evil growth has taken root in him. Because an evil growth has taken root in him. We are familiar with the sickness, cancer. It is the growth, overgrowth or over-exaggerated multiplication of human cells that cause the cancer. It carries on growing, until it chops everything else, destroys the human body. So the Lord is saying, a person who is proud, arrogant is like this. It's very difficult to change unless he is determined, unless he says, I want to be gentle, I want to be kind, I want to be lowly as others whom we admire so much. And that is what the book of wisdom is telling us, giving us guidelines for our way of life. In the letter to the Hebrews, we have very beautiful sayings of the Lord. Or the letter is speaking to us about two mountains. A comparison is made. One is a mountain where there was lightning and flame and thunder and wind. Mount Sinai, where God appeared on the way back for the people of Israel from the land of Egypt. That certainly was not a very pleasant one. In fact, whenever the Lord appeared, the people were afraid. And in fact, they told the Lord, Lord, do not speak to us, let Moses speak to us, because he was so majestic, so powerful, and they couldn't stand the light, the sound, and the cloud and the wind. And compared to this Mount Zion, Mount Zion, on the contrary, is the place where the Lord Jesus chooses to sacrifice himself for our sake. It becomes a holy place. It becomes a seat of mercy. It becomes a seat of love. Two mountains. In the Old Testament, the mountain, Mount Sinai, and in the New Testament, Mount Zion in Jerusalem. Mount Zion was very important for the Jews. Let us go up to a mountain. Let us go to Mount Zion. And today, when we speak, should be to Jerusalem. Jerusalem, and more especially, the holy city of Jerusalem. Two mountains, two realities. One where God is very majestic and difficult to approach. The other one where the Lord is absolutely merciful, whom we all approach so very often. And in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 14, verses 7 to 14, we have this particular intervention of the Lord Jesus at a very interesting moment in the life of people. First thing is, when you are invited for a wedding feast, do not take the best place. Usually we don't do. But it seems during the time of Jesus, that was the case. He said, observing how they were clamoring for the best place for sitting and taking part in the wedding feast, Jesus gave this example or pointed out, when you are invited, do not go to the place, the most important place, the best place, leave it aside. And that reminds us sometimes in the church also. But we find that the best places are not occupied because they are very humble. No. We always like to sit at the back so that we will not be told to go behind. But Jesus did not mean that so much. But that greed that we have got, I must have the best place. I must have the limelight. I must be seen by everyone. It was a craze for the Jewish people, especially the scribes and the Pharisees. The way they were offering money in the temple was typical. They had purposely made the container or the receptacle for the offering with a copper metal, light, and it had a big mouth and a small hole. So when people were paying in coins, they will come with the bag and they will raise it up and pour into it. And hearing the sound, they will all look, who is this generous man? So that's what Jesus was telling. Try not to occupy the place of honor. That was a very important thing. That is, we like to be always honored, which Jesus did not want. His disciples will have to be gentle, humble, who is not looking to be in the limelight. We all long. The moment we miss it, we feel very bad. Now what is happening in America is Trump was dishonored because he did not get the Nobel Prize. India did not cooperate, so somehow we must make India pay for it. And he goes, see, I want to be in the limelight. I want to be given the Nobel Prize. If I'm not getting it, I will do it. So if we develop this kind of character, this kind of attitude in our life, I think the Lord will find it very difficult to deal with us. And then second part is saying, when you give a dinner, do not call your friends and best buddies, the rich people around you, who surely in the next week or the week after or next month is going to have another party and is going to invite you. Then your intention is wrong, very poor. In fact, he says, when you give dinner, call the poor, the weak, the lame, the maimed, because they will never be able to invite you back. And your Father in heaven will provide you with whatever you will need. That desire for remaining low, that simple way of life, humility, these are the beautiful things that the Lord Jesus is expecting from a Christian heart, which sometimes we very much miss. We don't get the point very often because we try to become as important as possible, as famous as possible. Everyone must see me. Everyone must appreciate me. And then we should be able to remember the words of Christ. You have already received the reward. You have already received the reward. So let's learn from the Lord those maxims. Especially, my son, be gentle in carrying out your business. That gentleness, humility, nice-hearted way of dealing with people. And then again, let us not be cursed with that cancer within us, pride. I am filled with the pride. No one can tell me anything. Woe to you. These are the things that will set us against the Lord. And the Lord is inviting us to be careful, to be able to live a life where we do not seek the limelight. We do not seek to be first. We want to be the second or the last.